Hi, I'm Derek Murphy, and I'm answering some publishing questions. So this publishing question is about how you should brand your serials, especially because I do book cover design. People always ask me, on the book cover, what do you want to focus on? How do you brand for a series if you're writing a series of books? It's great to publish series because it's the best way to build a platform quickly because it gives you a lot of pricing control. Instead of having one big book, you can have a perma-free book, or you can have a 99-cent book leading into a series. There's a lot of powerful marketing strategies you can do with them. So how do you brand for a series using design and book cover design? What you don't want to do is try to emphasize too much, because you only have a second for people to look at your book cover and figure out what your book is about, what the genre is, what it promises, what emotions you want people to feel when they look at your book. Like when you're writing a romance or a horror, people should feel the emotion that you're promising in that genre, even for nonfiction. What you don't want to do is say, I want to brand my author name, so I want a super big author name, and then I want to brand my series name, so I want a super big series name, and then your book title, because you'll just get all this text. You can't emphasize everything. You have to choose what's going to make the biggest impact. So if you're a really famous author, people don't know the name of your new book, but they know your name. So you lead with your name. That's why your name will be up on top and really big, because people, your fans, will read whatever you write. So the name comes first, then the title, then probably a series if there's a series. Um, in some cases, I mean, Harry Potter was a series, so Harry Potter is always big, but that's because those titles were always Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and something else. So, I mean, that was part of the big title. So they emphasized the Harry Potter part, which was the series title, but also the name of the main character. You can do that if you're writing titles that go like that. What a lot of people are trying to do is they'll write a title like um, Sunshine, and then the series will be the Supernatural series, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. You don't want to have all that text really big. For me, I almost always put one big title, usually one word, and then on top of that, your series, which will be book one of whatever series. Um, but series are also a little bit overrated. I mean, people use that. This is Hugh Howey's Dust signed copy. I met Hugh in Taipei last year. There isn't a series. I mean, it says from the author of Wool, so Wool is the first book in the series, but it doesn't say, I mean, this series doesn't really have a name. It doesn't need a, like, the series name. It has a tagline, which is important. Every beginning has an end. It tells you this is part of a series, this is the conclusion of the series, but mostly the branding of a series is just the design. So the way that this series is branded is because there's similar background. Even though the three books have different colors, there's similar rough backgrounds. The author name is the same in every one, and it's got the same text effect in this large text. So the layout is the same, the text, the fonts are the same, and it's got the same style. That's what you want to focus on. You want the books to look like they belong together on a shelf. Even like with a spine, when the three of them line up, they should look like a set. What you don't want to do is focus more on the series than the actual book, because what some people will do is they'll forget about the importance of the book cover. Like for the first book in a series, the series doesn't matter at all because they haven't read any of the books yet. All that matters is they buy that first book. You never want to sacrifice the design of one book in a series for the larger series design, or try to brand a series and then make your individual covers weaker, because the individual cover, they're only looking at one book at a time, and that one book has to make the sale to that customer. So I mean, I don't think you have to worry much about series branding. I think you have to make an amazing book cover for your first book, and then just copy the style of your first book to the other books in the series, and that will be enough to brand the series. What you also don't want to do is people talk about branding your author name. That's actually not very important. For a series, you want the author name, text, and font to look about the same for the 3 books or the 6 books, because you're making a series. But if you're writing a lot of books, a lot of different series, different genres, your author brand, the text doesn't have to be the same on every cover, and it shouldn't be. I mean, if you have, purple font on one cover because the purple looks really good, you don't want to use purple on every cover because it may not fit on other covers that don't have the same color scheme. You also don't want to have a lot of people want to brand their author name and they want to choose a fancy font. Almost always your author name font should be a very simple serif or sans serif, and that's it. You don't want to have a lot of fancy decorative fonts for your author name. You can use a fancy decorative font for the title if it fits your genre, but you can really have up to 3 fonts, and you can really only have one fancy or decorative font. That's going to be your title. Yeah, almost never you want to use it for your author name. Author name's almost always simple, clean, easy to read. You don't want to try to mess that up with a fancy font, and you don't want to have two contrasting fonts. You don't want anything to fight for attention on your book cover. So you don't want to be like, look here at my author name, look here at my title, bling bling, fancy fonts. You just want it to look cohesive and work all together, and feel really good together. So you don't want things to like fight for attention, because no one's going to spend any time at all analyzing or looking at your book cover. They're not going to consider your book cover. It's going to work, and they're going to click on it and read the text, or they're gone, and you've only got one chance. So it's important to get it right and make it look good, but not to go too far and make it busy and confusing, or have too many fonts or too much stuff fighting for attention. So that's some things to think about when you're doing a series or branding for a series. Don't worry about branding for a series too much. Worry about getting a really good book cover for the first book, and then just continuing that design for the book and for the others in the series, and that'll work fine. Usually you can just swap out the background image, keep everything else the same, and just change the text, and it'll work really well. If you have to add, book 1 of this series, book 2, I usually add it at the top. You can add it right under the title as well. Paranormal romance series, book 1, book 2. Depends what other text you have, if you have a tagline as well, if you have any reviews as well. I find that it usually fits best way up on top, just because there's not usually anything else there, unless you have a really good review and you want that first on top. Anyway, things to consider. Definitely writing series is good money once you start writing a lot of series. Thanks for watching.